I think if you said, is it a great time for a brand new platform? There are platforms that are doing good work. Like there's no reason to go reinvent the wheel. But is there a great time for a community of people who have a shared worldview, who want to edify each other through the stories that they're telling? I think that's getting harder to find. And therefore, a great time for a platform that's focused on that mission.
Welcome to the Habit Podcast, conversations with writers about writing. I'm Jonathan Rogers, your host. In recent years, there's been a resurgence of serial publishing, that is, publishing book-length stories in installments over months or even years. This new serialization happens mostly on internet platforms rather than in print publications as in previous centuries. In this episode of the Habit Podcast, I'll be talking about serialization with Mick Donahue and Andy Patton. Mick and his wife Rachel are the co-founders of the new serialization platform Flickr Press. Andy, besides being the Rabbit Room's director of content, is the author of the serialized novel The Ill-Starred Knight. Andy's highly secret author code name for the book is Ix. You can find The Ill-Starred Knight on the Royal Road platform. Welcome Mick Donahue and Andy Patton to the Habit Podcast. So glad to have you all today.
Yeah, good to be here.
Thank you, Jonathan.
You all are very involved in serial publishing, something that I've gotten interested in principle, and I'd love to hear more. I mean, that's kind of what we're here to talk about. Serial publishing, Flickr Press, the opportunities that are there for writers in this really old way of delivering stories, but that is enjoying maybe a renaissance. Mick Donahue, tell us about Flickr Press.
Yeah, so we started last year, really, October of 2025. Andy and I were at a conference in Nashville, and it was a publishing conference, and admittedly, my expertise is not in writing or publishing books, but my wife is involved in the publishing world. And so Andy and I were sitting and talking, and we were discussing how difficult it is for writers to get a product to market. So my background is in business, and we were talking about in the business world, we take what we call a minimum viable product, something that has been fleshed out and thought through and is a thoughtful service to somebody in the industry. But we get it out fairly quickly, and then we iterate over time. So the end result product sometimes doesn't look very much like the beginning product at all. And Andy, my wife is working on a novel. She's published a couple of books in poetry, but never a novel. This is a new thing. And so we were talking about how do you get this in front of people in order to get quick feedback. Mm-hmm. And you have writers groups like, the Habit. They workshop things all the time, and there are other groups she's a part of. But Andy was talking about serial publishing and how in the digital world, the barrier to entry is very, very low. Uh-huh. You can get a story out very quickly and then get feedback on that story and iterate, change your character. If that character isn't resonating or some chapter falls flat, you get feedback about them. So after that conference, I went back. Rachel actually went on a writing retreat just after that to finish up her kind of put the finishing touches on her first draft, complete draft. And I was looking for a platform. What is a serial platform that would be a good fit for her? Mm-hmm. And there are plenty of them out there, but they tend to serve a specific kind of niche. So if you look at Royal Road is probably the best one that I found, but they're specifically targeting lit RPGs, high fantasy, science fiction, that sort of thing.
I'm sorry, Mick, lit RPG, not everybody knows what that is.
Yeah, Andy, I'm gonna defer to Andy for that.
Literary role-playing game is what that acronym means, and it's not like a choose-your-own-adventure. You're not playing a game, but these are stories with game elements or set in a game world. Uh-huh. That is what a lit RPG is.
Okay.
There you go. So they're doing a fantastic job, but Rachel's book didn't fit. Mm-hmm. Wattpad is an incredible platform, but it's huge, and so you get lost in kind of the AI slop, and the things that tend to rise to the top there are more adult content. Same thing with Ream, and I think there's one called Radish, and so what I found was that there's a gap in the market that if you want to create something that is true and beautiful from a redemptive worldview, there's not a great place to do that. And so my background, again, is in business and technology. And so over the course of November and December, late nights, long weekends, just tried to create a minimum viable product, get something out so that authors could publish and start to get feedback on their stories. The interesting thing about serial publishing is not only are you putting it out there for people to read, you're getting feedback, but there is a way to monetize that early draft, which is something Andy and I talked about at that conference, that authors tend to, they create this story over maybe years. And then what do you do with it? How do you get it to a publisher? Do you self-publish? How do you actually get this product out to the world, to the market? And so Andy was very gracious with his time and has given me some feedback along the way. And it's a platform that is under construction as we move forward. I'm sure in 5 years it's going to look very different than it does today. But we're excited about letting authors who are looking for this niche now, which is, again, that good, true, beautiful mindset. How do you get that story to an audience?
Well, I want to return in a little while to the question of how you create a platform that that encourages, not only encourages, but also, I don't want to use the word polices, but somehow make sure that these are stories that are committed to the true and the beautiful and the good and the redemptive. Let's circle back around to that later.
Sure.
But I want to hear from Andy. Andy, tell me a little bit about your relationship to serial publishing.
Yeah, I first found out about it through lit RPGs. I came across the genre. The first book in that genre I read is called Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman, and it's one of the best, and it has achieved the most mainstream success, I think you could say. Penguin picked it up in 2024, and now it's on top of Amazon, and it's in all the Barnes and Nobles. It's the first of this genre that has really reached to that. It moved out of the niche readership. So I thought, wow, this is great. The main character is doing the things that people do in the video games I grew up playing. This is weird, but I'm loving it. Where can I find more? Yeah. So lo and behold, there is a whole website dedicated to stories like this called Royal Road. So I jumped in there, and it's a relatively new genre in America. It has been more popular in Russia and China.
It being lit RPG.
That's right, yeah. And it came to America, the earliest ones that achieved success maybe as late as 2012. So it's a new genre.
Yeah.
But there have already been lots of standout successes, and it's a very interesting snapshot of how modern publishing technology is joining hands with a new kind of genre, and that is allowing people to write a chapter and have readers read the chapter immediately when you click publish on Royal Road or on Patreon. And then the authors make a living directly from their readers. That's what happened first with these big, prominent lit RPG titles, which now probably the top 10 lit RPG stories that have come out of Royal Road have made their writers millions of dollars, direct from the readers through Patreon and then through Amazon. And some of them publishers pick up, either like some of the big publishers or niche publishers that have grown for this genre specifically. So I spent a few years reading lots of lit RPG, and then started writing my own. It's called The Ill-Starred Knight, as a just imagination hobby. And I thought, I'm interested in this genre. I kind of want to try this publishing medium. I like Substack, which is not a platform that people do much fiction on. It's a serial platform, but it had its start in journalistic content, and now it's expanding to lots of other different genres. But I thought, I want to try this serial thing. So I started a Substack for this story 3 years ago, and I've been releasing chapters just to friends. And now the novel's complete, and I've taken it to Royal Road a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that's my serial publishing journey so far.
And is the Ill-Starred Knight under the name Andy Patton, or is it a code name?
It is under the name Ix.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
A code name, yes. Yeah, it's a convention on Royal Road. A lot of people have pseudonyms, so I thought, okay, I'm going to do the pseudonym, probably because these authors have like day jobs and real life. They wear suits to work, and then they write these silly stories, and so they choose names like Kamikaze Potato is one.
So, as we've already slightly alluded to, the serialization on, say, Royal Road is relatively new, or online serialization is relatively new, but serialization has a storied history. A lot of Dickens's books were published serially. And give me a quick history of serialization before online serialization.
Yeah, online serialization is obviously a new thing because the internet's relatively new and these platforms are new. But serialization is how we got a lot of 19th century fiction classics. Like if you go into the classic section, the thickest books were probably serialized, and they're thick because they were getting paid by the chapter, released in newspapers. Dickens, Victor Hugo, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle started writing the Sherlock stories in a serial publication. So it was tied to newspapers, which was just obviously a much more prevalent convention in print back then than it was today. Yeah. And back then newspapers were news, but they were also commentary. It was the paper blogosphere in many ways. And over time, the history of print media and publishing changed, and you started to see publishing houses move fiction into their domain, out of a newspaper domain. And so you didn't have to publish serially. The money wasn't in it the same way.
By the way, Andy, my first experience with serialized fiction was I had a professor who taught a class called Dickens by the Numbers, and you would buy the novel that was under discussion. He would actually his teaching assistant, who was me, would tear the books apart at the original breaks, and we would hand out the first week, and we would discuss it, and then at the end of class, we would give you the next week. And so people were experiencing that story serially the way people would.
That's great.
Original.
There's a pleasure to it. There's a pleasure to reading a chapter, having to wait.
And Dickens responded to reader feedback that he was getting as he was writing, just like you can do on these serialized platforms. It really changes the process and the product.
Well, and you could also think about from the author's perspective, the pacing. You can't have 4 dead chapters in the middle. Like you've got to keep moving things along and keeping your reader engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the cliffhangers are incentivized is one way that it changes both the process and the product. There's one of the best stories on Royal Road is a novel called Super Supportive by Slaka, and I think it's probably 3,000 pages long. It's just one story because Slaka's just writing and writing and writing. And
This cost me many hours away from my wife because she's reading it.
Yes.
It's like 1.5 million words or something.
yeah, I got Rachel hooked on it. It's so good. And if you can track, so some information about Sleka has a Patreon, which is a form of crowdfunding for episodic content. I think last I checked, Sleka was making something like $30,000 a month just for writing this story from Patreon only. It hasn't been published anywhere else. It's on Royal Road and Patreon. It hasn't. Wow. It's not in print. It's not on Amazon. But it's a very slow burn. The story is. It's sort of like Harry Potter for superheroes. Okay. Only the main character doesn't get to the Hogwarts equivalent until page 1000, and that's after living through the plot of Castaway on an alien moon. Okay, there's my pitch for super supportive.
Okay.
So Sleka's Patreon, when it got to when the character, okay, there's a spoiler here, big spoiler. I've already spoiled some things, but I'm going to keep going with it. When the character gets to this very well written, very intense, long section where he's stranded on this alien moon, Sleka's Patreon numbers go through the roof because everybody is just hooked and wants to read chapters ahead. So it influences, the process influences the product in interesting ways.
Huh. Andy, I interrupted your history of serialization. I think. What were you done? Was there more to? I see from the notes you sent me that the Green Mile was serialized.
Yes, the Green Mile's serialized. Yeah, so I put together some noteworthy successes in modern serial publishing. The internet has brought serial publishing back to prominence. Basically, you might contrast that with. So there's now traditional publishing, which is write the whole book, get an agent, get an editor to buy it, and they take it away, and you get royalties. You lose some control. And there's indie publishing, where you say I'm going to basically use that apparatus, but do it myself. Yeah. And now serial publishing comes in, and it's a twist on indie publishing that is even more close to the readers. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing comments on every chapter. You're getting edits. These big serial authors have Discord communities with hundreds of people in them, and it's like you're creating your own fan base, and the readers pay you directly. Yeah, so the Green Mile was a early resurgence in serial publication. It wasn't using the platforms I've been talking about. It was traditionally published, but in pieces. You can buy it as one big novel now. But Andy Weir's The Martian was serialized.
The Green Mile,
Hugh Howard's Wool series.
How were people? Was it being published in a magazine? How was that being published serially?
Tiny. It was basically novellas.
Really?
5 or 6 part novellas. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you got a little chunk and then a little chunk, and people went to bookstores to buy each novella separately.
Some of our younger listeners, you may do explain what a bookstore is. Just kidding.
Yeah. It's like Amazon, but only one thing.
And you can walk in.
Yeah.
And then the Martian, was that also published in little pieces that you could buy at a bookstore?
No, that was online.
Okay.
Published online. I forget where it was published. It might have been on his website. But, obviously an early success. Mm-hmm. When you have Matt Damon and then Ryan Gosling in your stories, you've made it. Right. On screen.
Yeah. Mick, tell me about Flickr Press, how it's distinct from these other platforms that we've been talking about. And you've already alluded to the fact that there's some content boundaries or fences. Maybe we'll start there, and then tell me how else it's distinct Flickr Press is distinct from other platforms.
Yeah, the core, I think, dominant selling idea is for the reader is curation. So rather than encountering AI slop and adult content smut, we have a curated author base that allows us to trust. Doesn't mean that early on we kicked around the idea of this Christian umbrella, but we were afraid we would turn into like the K-Love of fiction, and everything is just very shallow. And it doesn't mean you won't find difficult subjects or language at times that this character is using that maybe you wouldn't use in your life. It doesn't mean it's all G-rated.
Yeah.
What it does mean, though, is that it's from the perspective of a worldview that finds goodness and truth and beauty and hope in these stories. And so ultimately the curation, admittedly, is going to be one of the hardest things that we do. Early on, we've done that by only opening the platform to authors who we know and trust, or who are a part of a community that we know and trust. And so the Habit has some authors in, people that we have personally have relationships with, have content. Doesn't mean it will always stay that way. Eventually, I think we'll open it, but only after we've perfected that curation piece.
Yeah.
And then from the author standpoint, we've tried to take the best tools from the other platforms so that you get really quick feedback on which chapters are performing well. So you could click your book and it will tell you chapter 1 has, 25 people who started it, but only 20 finished it. Chapter 2 is 20 for 20. And chapter 3, 20 started it, but only 5 finished it. And you can actually watch readership drop off as the chapter progresses. So you'd be able to say, I've got a problem in chapters 2 and 3 here. What's going on? If you set it up for a work in progress, people can actually comment on the paragraph level. So they could click on a paragraph and say, I don't really understand what's happening here, or you lost me with that phrase or whatever. If you set it as complete, then you don't readers don't have that option. They just are commenting on the chapter and rating the chapter and putting a kind of a global comment on that chapter. But a work in progress, they can get down into the very minutia of the story, and hopefully the author is receiving that feedback as good critical feedback, going back and rewriting and letting that story be kind of a living document rather than something that is now in a book and can't change it. I've got a friend he wrote nonfiction. He writes nonfiction. And I asked him about a particular book he wrote on a theological position. And I said, hey, are you ever going to do a second edition? He said, the publisher asked me to do a second edition. But in order to do a second edition, I have to change the whole thing because the feedback I've gotten and the nuance that I would like to take in these certain chapters basically demand a new book. So could you do that on the front side is the grand question.
And is the idea that you open it up as a draft? Is draft the language you use? Is that
work in progress is what we use, but draft would be fine. Yeah.
So I posted as a work in progress for a while, and then eventually I feel good and I lock it down as a completed work.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. And in the midst of all of that, there were a couple of different models out there. We chose to use kind of the Vela, Amazon Vela. They had credits that you buy, and then you purchase, with those credits, you purchase things. So we're letting you unlock chapters with these credits. And then that's going straight back to the author. So we're sharing royalties on a microtransaction level from a business standpoint is how we would approach that. So even a work in progress, you can slowly monetize. And then obviously letting the author continue to have complete rights over that story. If they decide they want to go publish it, great. Long term, we'd love to have more. We have some indie publishers already on the platform, but have more that are kind of scoping out the best performing stories and pitching those people for manuscripts. And so the ultimate impact could be even beyond our wildest dreams at this moment. But it's just got so much potential if we can develop a community around it, a community of authors who are committed to the vision, and then they attract readers, and then those readers are cross-pollinating through the different manuscripts on the platform.
Do you have? I'm sure you have data, ways of tracking the extent to which readerships are cross-pollinating.
Yeah, early on, it's been interesting to watch. It has not happened organically. People are coming to the platform because they trust a particular author. So the books that are doing well, or the manuscripts, I guess, they're doing well on the platform right now, are the ones who are serially publishing, not the ones that are completed. So we have some completed works on there that have just really sat. They haven't done much. But the people who are serially publishing, I think, because they have some content to share week after week. Hey, I just published a new chapter. Or I heard your feedback and I changed this thing. Would you go check it out again? So they're creating some momentum. But what's happening is people are coming to that story, they're reading it, and then they're going away. And so we've got some work to do. Like I said early on, this early product that we have will continue to need some iterations. So how do I know you read this story, you would also like that story? That will get easier as we have kind of cross content where you commented, you gave this story a 5, and you also gave that story a 5-star rating. And now I know, these two stories are connected. But you have to kind of generate that to start with. So we've got some interesting ideas of how to incentivize people to read other stories as well.
I'm interested in this idea that by letting readers in early, you are creating a loyalty, people feel an ownership for that work that maybe I don't feel the same ownership of a work that's already locked down. Andy, you probably have had some experience. You probably know something about that just from reading on these other platforms for years.
Yeah. I was following Matt Dinneman's Patreon for a while. He's the guy.
Matt Dinneman is the
Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yeah,
Dungeon Crawler Carl. Yeah. Delightful title.
It really is.
And I think it was I forget what book it was, maybe 3 or 4. But so in the we're going to take a slight detour here. In the story of Dungeon Crawler Carl, Carl, the main character, is kind of on an intergalactic version of Survivor. So he's running through this game world, and the whole galaxy is watching all the Earthlings compete in this life and death thing. And different crawlers can have fans that send fan boxes that help them in the story.
Okay.
So Matt Dinneman used his Patreon subscribers to make the choices for what the fans in the story send the character.
Oh, wow.
So there's this meta level of we the people watching this story happen from afar, got to reach in and influence the story. So I remember getting this poll with a bunch of options for what Carl's next fan box was. And I voted that he would get to go to a conference about the dungeon crawl. And that is the thing that won. And that's a major plot arc in one of the novels. So I feel like I chose that. I'm participating in this story in a meta way.
Yeah.
And for my story, I wanted to try out something like that using Substack, which the chapters went out to about 50 people, mostly people that I know. And my character, whose name is George, comes into this. He's also in this game world. He kind of has an opportunity to play Mario Kart, basically, in real life. So he's in this garage with 30 fantasy sci-fi vehicles, and he had to choose which vehicle. And so I just let the readers choose what's in this garage and what vehicle does George end up with. And they had a lot of fun with it. And instead of a cool, manly, awesome, powerful vehicle, they chose a sparkle paint hover jet ski with a dolphin head on the front. And so that is what my character drives around, and the people who chose that feel like that is their dolphin jet ski, and they love it. And it's on the cover, and there's like this ownership and identification. And I didn't expect that, but I went with it, and it became really important to me too. It's such an important piece of the events of this story, and there's a lot of jokes around it. And it's just been this delightful exchange.
That's fun, and I love the idea that when you say there's jokes around it, you mean in your text there's jokes around it, or people outside the text are joking with each other about it?
Both things are happening. Yeah, the characters make fun of George for it, except there's this 12-year-old girl who just loves it.
Yeah, I love the idea that that creativity came out of. I mean, we all when we talk about creativity, we often talk about the fact that it's coming from somewhere outside you. That it certainly is coming from outside of your conscious mind, right? And you've created a situation where it's very obvious that the creativity is coming. Some spark of that creativity is coming from outside you, which is not to say that those jokes about the dolphin aren't real. They're real jokes. Your jokes that you invented, but they wouldn't have been available to you without the input of those readers.
And I didn't want the readers to choose that vehicle.
Yeah.
It took me a while to warm up to the idea, but now I love it.
You put that vehicle in as a choice, like they didn't invent that vehicle. You let them.
They invented it.
They
invented it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you're a little bit like the people who invited people to name their boat, and it ended up being Boaty McBoatface from years ago.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
But you do see that from an analytics standpoint. You know, I'm in the back looking at spreadsheets. The people who are out there engaging their audience on a weekly basis, those are the ones who are being successful right now on the platform. And I think Andy did a great job. I got to look over Rachel's shoulder a little bit. She was trying to help launch his story of having kind of a launch team. Mm-hmm. And you talk about, Andy, you said your publishing, your publish starts before you ever release the book. It's really more about this on-ramp. And I've seen you be really successful with that, and some authors on Flickr as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Royal Road has a discovery engine called the Rising Stars list, so it's like the trending list. And people on Reddit have figured out how to get onto the Rising Stars list. So I had these readers coming along with me for the journey through Substack for a couple years. So I just told them, this is exactly what I want you to do when I press launch, and follow it and review it and leave comments, and they're into it. They are commenting on every chapter something.
Andy, tell me a little bit more about your involvement in the beginning of Flickr Press.
Yeah, we were at the Hutchmoot conference, and it was just one of those magical Hutchmoot conference things. Hutchmoot is the Rabbit Room's in-person conference, and I think I would love to have the Lord's perspective on all the kingdom-generated things that have grown out of conversations at Hutchmoot. Yeah. I think we lingered over dinner at the table. Everybody else left, and there were 4 or 5 of us at this table, just having a conversation that was interesting and engaging. And then Flickr Press grew out of it in a way that was bigger than the sum of its parts. We were just kicking around ideas. We just had a good dinner. We were at this creatively stimulating conference. I have a way of having very specific and deep niche interests and then trying to draft my friends into those interests.
Yeah.
So I was wearing that hat that night.
Yeah.
And I just think there's just so much potential in serial publishing that when you lay the facts out, it makes sense on a lot of different levels, like for the writer, for the publisher, or for the platform. And Mick took it and ran with it.
Yeah. Do you have any more to say about why this is a great time to start serial publishing? You may have already said everything. You've made a great case already, but anything you've left out in terms of why this is a great time to start a platform if you're a platform builder, or to start a work if you're an author.
Mick, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that we live in an interesting time where there is so much noise, and now we kind of distrust everything we see. Some video came across my feed earlier this week, and I said to Rachel, "Is that real? Like, I can't tell if that's AI or not." And so I think we are embarking on a decade where, and maybe more, where people are going to be grasping for real content, something that's reinforces the hope that they have within. And so I think if you said, is it a great time for a brand new platform? There are platforms that are doing good work. Like there's no reason to go reinvent the wheel. But is there a great time for a community of people who have a shared worldview, who want to edify each other through the stories that they're telling? I think that's getting harder to find. And therefore, a great time for a platform that's focused on that mission.
Yeah.
And then for the author, it's harder and harder to rise to the top of these submission processes. So, my wife's in publishing, and when they open up submissions, they've got a spot for 4 manuscripts maybe that they're going to choose out of 200 that are going to come in.
Yeah.
And so it's such a crowded space. If we can lower that barrier to entry and let you iterate, and like Andy was saying, get paid along the way, maybe it's a disruptive idea on the publishing side as well.
Yeah. Mick, tell me about how an author gets involved with Flickr Press, where you are right now.
Yeah, so currently we have an open platform inside the Habit. So if you're a member of the Habit, there is a code that you can use, and you walk through the onboarding process. It really is just looking at our content guidelines. What do we expect? And if you can agree to those content guidelines and you're coming from the Habit, we feel like there's enough synergy already that we trust your story. Obviously, if it gets published and something's wrong, we have the right to take it down, but that's not a problem so far.
Yeah.
Little side push to go become a member of the Habit.
Thank you, Mick.
Yeah. We also are, like Rachel was just at Railmakers, and the other members of Bandersnatch, they've been talking about it. So if you have a relationship, a manuscript that you want to pitch, then they can get you a code as well. But then the onboarding process is actually very simple. It's just very basic stuff. All the royalties are paid through Stripe. So as you onboard, you fill out a Stripe account setup. And then when it's time to pay your royalties, we just do it through the back end of our website. It goes through Stripe to your bank account. So very, very simple.
Yeah. And Mick, you've mentioned that it's you've been, I guess, was January 1st or January the launch date?
Yeah, I didn't look it up exactly, but it was early January. Like the 12th or something like that.
Yeah. And kind of a slow. The start is a slow burn, right? Which is pretty typical of a. And I think you're also going more slowly than you might on purpose. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's right. So we could really go after it. Throw a bunch of marketing money at it, and probably increase our visibility a lot. But until we can prove the model and prove that people will convert to read these stories, which we're slowly doing, we don't want to go hard after the marketing side until we've proven the sales funnels and we're sure that people are, we understand customer behavior. And let's see, I guess we're 4 months in now, something like that. And so it's very, very young. But we've seen good kind of basic metrics that people are coming to the platform, people are publishing. I think we have like 25 books right now with like 500 plus chapters, and we have 1,600 active users. So you've got a lot of people on the platform.
Yeah.
Working on that cross-pollination piece.
Yeah.
Working on them converting back for author royalties. Those are pieces that we're going to continue to iterate.
And of those 25 books that are up, are they all books for grown-ups? Like, is there any juvenile fiction on them?
I admittedly have not read them all, but they're definitely when you put a book on, you will choose what reader level it is.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've got books all over the gamut, all the way from like middle school readers up through adult readers. Yeah.
So whether or not there are currently middle grade novels on there, you're open to that, and that's a possibility.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, with privacy and things like that, the parent needs to be the one to create the reader account, and then they trust the content for their children. But yes, they're all the way from middle school through adult.
Yeah. Andy, what should listeners and readers be looking at, aware of, looking for in serial publishing? I mean, you've already identified a few of your favorites. Where do you see the future of serial publishing, or what kind of? I since I didn't even know what lit RPG stood for until you told me, that's not exactly my genre. What can I look forward to in the serial publishing world beyond lit RPG?
Yeah, it's hard to predict the future, especially with technology changing so much so fast right now. But if I was a betting man, I would say you will see more sites specializing in a genre. Like Railroad has found it is the place for this genre. And when you have that critical mass, then new things can happen. Authors can find their alpha readers there, and readers can go find their favorite stories there and read them completely for free. And if they want to, go tip the author, basically. So that's I think we'll see more of that, because the model is proven.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. And I think we'll also see traditional publishing getting wiser to that. Again, Dungeon Crawler Carl is in the genre, like the tip of the spear. The series already had 6 or 7 books before Penguin picked it up in 2024. The covers were weird, but awesome, but weird. And so Penguin slapped these amazing covers on them. They just looked like, wow, a professional graphic designer did this, and put them everywhere. So if you look at that from Penguin's perspective, there's not a lot of risk. Like you know that these niche nerds have given this 5 stars already for years, and they're going to want to go buy the special editions. And if a critical mass of niche readers like that, probably there's other readers who don't know that they'll like it yet, and that's what's happening. It's just at the top of so many Amazon lists right now. So I think you'll see a lot more of that. It's basically a beta test, a niche beta test for the mainstream.
Yeah, I think from the publisher's perspective, if you could monitor these stories over, 6 months, a year, whatever, you have, I think you said exactly right, Andy, you have low risk because people have already put their stamp of approval on it. Yeah. They've already edited it for you. Like they've done a lot of that pacing work that you've got to do as a publisher, and so you're buying a much more refined product as a publisher standpoint. Yeah. If it's already been tested in the market.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, so much of a book proposal, the question comes in: what's your social media following? Yeah. And so publishers are looking at numbers like that because they want to know how much of your own audience can you bring to this. I would say that numbers of Instagram followers is less of a telling metric than numbers of people actually paying me chapter by chapter to continue writing this book. They've already bet their money.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a good way to do it for all the parties involved.
Yeah. Well, we need to wrap up here in a minute, but I do want to hear more from you, Andy, about the Ill-Starred Knight. Tell us more about this book. Here's your chance to...
Yeah, the Ill-Starred Knight. Pitch it.
Yeah, pitch it.
The Ill-Starred Knight it's a story about a broken man who has lost his memory and wakes up in a game world with no idea how he got there. He has to click a button a lot, buy back his memories. He discovers his children are somewhere in the game and they're in danger. He has to find them and save them. And all the while, there's a timer ticking down, and when it hits 0, he basically has to live through the Hunger Games over and over again.
Huh. Okay.
So that is the basic plot. And another key factor that people who like Nod the Brain Spider would get mad at me if I didn't mention. In Chapter 5, his body is invaded by a very snarky but lovable side character named Nod, who is a brain spider.
Okay.
And Nod is hilarious.
Okay. All right. Well, Andy, that was the kind of
weird.
That you want to go find out more about lit RPGs.
It's amazing.
So thank you, Andy Patton. Thank you, Mick Donahue. I certainly hope Flickr Press does great things and creates a lot of opportunities for a lot of readers, a lot of writers. So thanks for being here, y'all.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks for having us.
The Habit Podcast is brought to you by The Rabbit Room, where art nourishes community and community nourishes art. You can support their work, including this podcast, by becoming a member. Visit rabbitroom.com/membership. Special thanks as well to Taylor Leonard for letting us use her song Diamonds as the theme music for the Habit Podcast. You can learn more about Taylor and follow her work at taylorleonard.com. The Habit membership is a library of resources for writers by me, Jonathan Rogers. More importantly, The Habit is a hub of community where like-minded writers gather to discuss their work and give each other a little more courage. Find out more at thehabit.co.